Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I have something really special for you guys. I am going to be doing an interview with my dear life coach, Zoey Poulsen. And Zoey is someone who I had been following for a long time. I've always loved her energy. I've always found her to be incredibly inspiring, just an absolutely bright, beautiful, radiant soul who I always had it in my mind that I'd like to work with one day. And for the past few years, we have been working together in different capacities, one-on-one and group containers, and working with her has absolutely changed my life. And I am just so beyond grateful to have her here. And today we are going to be talking specifically about rose medicine, something that, if you're familiar with my channel, I speak into a lot, how to heal with rose energy activations, just all things rose because I love incorporating rose in my energy healing work. And I actually dove as deep as I have with rose through the initiation of entering one of Zoe's amazing courses called Opening Your Heart with Rose. And so I really just wanted to bring Zoey into the space to give her an opportunity to talk about her own relationship with rose energy, rose healing, rose embodiment, and to speak a little bit about her course and how that works and how you can receive healing benefits through possibly entering the course yourself or simply working with rose medicine in a way that resonates with you personally. So, all of that to say, welcome, Zoey. I would love for you to just introduce yourself to start us off with.
Oh, thank you so much for all your kind and beautiful words, Lauren. It has been such a blessing working with you over these past few years and seeing you grow and expand and watching you open your heart and share from your heart on YouTube has been such a gift to me and of course everyone here in your community. So you are all in such beautiful hands and I know that you're so grateful to receive the beautiful guidance and wisdom and just intelligence that Lauren shares because there is something so sacred about your words and your beautiful messages. It just really hits you in your heart space. So just thank you again, Lauren, for just having me here and sharing with your beautiful community. And to introduce myself, so my name is Zoey, also known as Zoey Arielle. Arielle is my middle name. I have a YouTube channel, Zoey Arielle, which I speak a lot these days around plant medicine. I am a certified professional life coach through IPEC, which is the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching. I hold four different certifications there, and I would say that my specialty, or what I've classified and certified as my specialty, is transitions, which means any kind of big life transformation. And that can be anything from making the leap into entrepreneurship, being initiated into motherhood or a completely different reality, maybe moving countries, and also plant medicine preparation and integration. I'm also a certified advanced medicine practitioner myself in Cambo, and I spend quality time each year supporting at Iboga Wellness Center in Costa Rica. So I know that we're going to get into talking about one of our favorite plants today. So I just wanted to preface that saying that I have been working with plant medicine for almost 8 years now, and it is a very big passion of mine and something that I support people with each and every day through coaching and support.
Amazing. Thank you so much for introducing yourself, Zoey. Yeah, clearly we can all see Zoey does an abundance of beautiful things in this world. She is incredibly multidimensional, and it's just a blessing to receive from her. And thank you, Zoey, for all of the kind reflections that you offered about me and my work. So, diving into the topic of plants and plant consciousness, obviously, Zoe's spoken to there are several different plants that she's worked with closely in her own life and even facilitates with. But specifically, we're going to dive into rose consciousness, rose healing. So I think that a good place to begin is just asking you, Zoey, what initiated your ongoing relationship with Rose? Like, what was for we've talked about it before that Rose makes her way into our lives, even, unconsciously. She's always present. But what was the moment for you that really began that initiatory journey with her deeply?
Yes. Oh, this is such a beautiful question, Lauren. I think where I feel called to start is just what you were talking about how Rose makes her way to you. You cannot perceive what you're not in the vibration of. So even those of you watching today probably feel some kind of connection to Rose. And maybe you have been recently introduced to that through Lauren's videos, or perhaps you just keep receiving roses from people, or you find that you just keep gravitating towards rose scented products. She has a way of really making herself known. And what I can say is that I remember Rose making her way to me as early as I think when I was 14. I remember I received like a Valentine's gift from this guy that I had a crush on, and it was this bear, and it was scented like roses. And I remember I just couldn't get, I would sleep with this thing beside my face. I'm like, there was something so soothing and so calming about the smell of like roses, pure rose. And again, there's something I always gravitated towards. And what brought me into the experience of starting my own Rose Dieta was knowing that I was just a couple months away from going to the Amazon jungle to participate in a master plant dieta. So this would be taking ayahuasca alongside a prescribed master plant through a shaman. So this is a very deep dieta, that's a plant diet, where the idea is that you ingest a sacred plant, a master plant, over a period of time, and you incorporate this plant into your diet, and you may adjust your diet in different ways depending on how deep you're going with this diet. And the idea is that you invite that plant consciousness into your body, into your field. And each of the different master plants, Rose herself, have incredible benefits. So I knew that this was coming up in my timeline. And I also knew that you could participate in a sort of do-it-yourself type dieta with Rose. I had heard about it from people. I know that people in the medicine space had been using Rose, and I really felt like this is time. And it was very interesting because I had that intention set, and then the week prior, I was navigating a heartbreak. It had just popped up in my timeline like that, and I was like, oh, of course, this is all meant to be in its own magical way. Rose being this beautiful flower that represents unconditional love, healing, boundaries, forgiveness, all these really potent, beautiful life lessons. And so that's how I got initiated into it. I would say it was a mix of just always feeling the call. The call got stronger. There was things coming up in my timeline that I desired to prepare for more deeply. And it was just the perfect time. As I'm sure you can relate to too, Lauren. I remember you reaching out to me about when you decided to take part in opening your heart with Rose, and just knowing like I believe you had said to me, I knew that I was going to take this course. And then all of a sudden it was the right time.
Absolutely. Yeah, the divine timing, like what you began with. She's always there. She's always present, whether honestly we are aware of that or not. And I always talk about roses being so overlooked. Like she really is always present. It's Roses are very abundant in like our access to them. And so she's always there. And I just love how you've had that connection, some level of awareness with her, even from such a young age. As like 14, she always served as this comforting presence. And just finding that moment in time where it really clicked, like it's time to go deeper with her now, which what you just brought up about myself, it was similar to me. It was like it was always there. I was even aware of your course. Of course, I've taken multiple of your courses. So like I was aware of all of them and I was like, that one, I'm gonna get to it. I'm not ready yet. And that's the divine timing of it, knowing intuitively when you're ready to really dive in and go there. Because once you do choose to dive in and go there, you dive in and you go there and you reach depths that you essentially need to be like energetically capable of holding yourself within, because a lot can come up, a lot can get unearthed, because as much as she's a comforting presence, she's also like a bright light shining upon shadows. A lot of these shadows existing in the heart space, as she is quite a heart opener, of course, like why your course is named Opening Your Heart with Rose. So from this point, I'd love to talk about what did your like initial journey, as you began to open that container, that dieta, what did it look like and feel like initially for you? And how did your routine look to be able to support you initiating that journey?
Beautiful questions, Lauren. So, yeah, I remember there was an excitement. There was a readiness, there was an excitement, there was a knowing, and I would say there was a very light energy around it. I mean, of course, navigating heartbreak, there was a lot of discomfort in my body that I was experiencing, but it just felt like, of course, this is the right next step for me. It just felt very intuitive, very aligned, full body yes. And so when I started it, in opening your heart with Rose, there's an initiation. You open the portal with Rose, and I knew people who had dieted with Rose, and they said, "Oh, it's so beautiful, it's so transformative, and it's also not going to be what you expect." There are
Mhm.
going to be a lot of transformations, a lot of growth, and it's going to be very deep. And so I had that in my awareness. I had no idea how deep the journey would go. And of course, like all medicines, and I'm referring to Rose as a medicine because she has so many medicinal benefits, and her energy, the potency, the allyship that you build is direct and potent medicine. I had no idea how deep would go. And these medicines don't always give you what you want, they give you what you need, and they never give you too much, even though there can be moments of intensity like you were just touching on, Lauren, there's moments of intensity, but it really is shining a light on these deeper shadows or deeper levels of density within ourselves that are desiring to be cleared. Rose is such a symbol of unconditional love. So, what I found at the beginning of my journey was a strong desire being formed in my heart that I desire to be a sanctuary of unconditional love for myself, for other people, for this world. There's just this awareness of I'm ready to open my heart and be of service in a new way. And I want that to be clean, clear, full of love. And little did I know what that journey would entail. I would say that like the day-to-day rituals or schedule looks like I would wake up in the morning, I would make rose tea, and I would sit there in my meditation, and I would just allow the wisdom and the beauty of rose to come through. And I would sit multiple times a day, and I would at least drink 1 cup of tea per day. And I would say that was multiple teas. I was probably drinking like 3 to 5 rose teas a day. And I loved it. It felt like these cozy sacred moments with myself. I was actually in Tulum at the time, and I was staying alone, and I didn't do much outside of the house besides grocery shopping and going to Pilates class. I really created a strong container for myself, a very potent container, knowing that I had about 1 month to really heal and transform before going into the jungle. And so I did spend a lot of time in meditation, and it's not something that you have to do. Your diet can look however you want it to look with Rose, but I would say like if you're really feeling the pull and really feeling the call, go all in with it. Meditate as much as you want, create it to be as sacred and as beautiful as you desire it to feel. I would also sit in meditation before going to bed and welcome in those beautiful lessons. And then in the in between, I was actually ingesting rose. So putting rose petals into my smoothie, just incorporating her wherever I could, and also using rose oil, scented products, having fresh roses around, just being in her presence and just being open to all of the lessons that she provides. And she is a very chatty plant, I'll say, in comparison to maybe other plant allies that I've experienced and integrated. She will guide you, and she will she will come through very strongly, and it's very beautiful. It's an incredible relationship. I know that you know all about that chattiness, Lauren.
Yes, absolutely. A very chatty woman she is, and what a blessing. I love how you're describing that beginning of your journey and setting that routine that was essentially you enveloping yourself in her, is what it sounds like, whether you were putting rose petals into a drink or you were placing that oil upon your body. It's like really just kind of matching the energetics with the physicality of it and bringing it all together. And I just want everyone to know that for as much as Rose is so energetically potent, she is also physically potent and has so many healing benefits. And when we're talking about Rose being this like clearing medicine, this heart opener, she really comes into your heart and she clears things up, which is why we're so drawn to her and her medicine is like Rose physically is an astringent. So it only makes sense that energetically she works in the similar clearing kind of way that she does physically. And it's just beautiful. And so I just love all of the ways that you incorporated her, not only tuning into her energetically, sitting with her in meditation, really pulling her consciousness into yours, but also working with her in physicality and seeing all the different ways that you could pull her in. And I just think that there's just something so absolutely magical about creating that sacred container. And I love that you were aware that you have this time in Tulum alone with yourself and like it's time to dive in and how can I make this particular moment in time as potent as I can? How deep can I go with her? And of course, everyone's journey is going to look different and not everyone's going to be called to sit for as long as a meditation during a day or to throw rose petals into a smoothie or something. But going as deep as you can in a way that feels resonant for you is what's just so important. And really just, I come back to that word enveloping yourself in her consciousness or her physicality is just like so supportive to that healing process. So thank you for sharing about the way that you began that, what your structure looked like. And you were speaking about the lessons that she presents. So I'd love to go into what for you was the first lesson, theme, something very clear that was presented to you once you began this container?
Oh, great question, Lauren. I'm trying to think back to what one of the first lessons was. And I do think that it was around following your heart, listening to your heart, and opening your heart. So, just
Mhm.
as I just described some of those different ways to incorporate rose into my life, all of that was intuitively led. Nobody told me to say, like add rose petals to your smoothie. I just knew that I could ingest them and I wanted to. And I was like, I want to invite her in. I want to flood myself with this love and this medicine and open myself up to all of the beautiful things, the wisdom that there is to receive. So it really was this initial heart activation, I would say, of feeling my heart starting to bloom and desiring to work very closely with this ally. And from there, there was definitely accepting and allowing emotions to flow through, which is heart work, which is the work of unconditional love, of just allowing every part of your being, the emotions that have been suppressed perhaps for your entire life to begin to start to surface, to be released. And there was also deep levels of forgiveness. And I would say forgiveness was one of the most potent lessons for me at that time because it started to click. The idea of forgiveness started to click in all new ways. I had understood what it means to forgive someone, coming to a place of letting go, not condoning what they did was okay, but just to set myself free. I could get to that place. But what Rose really locked in for me was forgiveness is the release of any expectations that you've ever placed on yourself or on another. And when that code, let's call it, got locked in for me, I was able to go on what I'm going to say a rapid forgiveness spree. It was like, oh my goodness, that was a gateway to me realizing that I can forgive, doesn't matter how quickly, but I could forgive faster because I actually had a template for forgiveness and I wasn't sure how to navigate forgiveness before that. It would take a while. I would have to sit with things. I would have to let those things do the work underneath the surface, but it felt like, okay, if it's this is about releasing expectations on myself, on other people, on God, source, universe, I can do this. I can just start writing down where I feel like I have sticky energy with people in my life, and I can start to do this heart clearing. And it got very exciting. It got very spacious. It was very liberating. And yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest lessons that stand out for me is forgiveness.
Mm, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Zoe. And I know I can relate to that in my own journey. And we've talked very much about, that path of forgiveness. And I just love what you spoke into of like, it's not about how quick it is, but at the same time, Rose really does have this element to her of like this like fast energy, and again it's not about rushing, and it's not about something being quick, but she just has this way of like, I visualize her almost like piercing through the heart, like we described earlier, of this bright light shining upon shadows. It's just like it's illuminated, and once it's illuminated, okay, you can see it clearly. um Kind of reminds me of that song, if anyone knows the song, like, I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Like, that's kind of how she feels, like how her medicine presents. So once you're aware of what still inside your own heart requires you to deepen into acceptance and forgiveness, then you're just going to naturally go there. You're going to naturally want to go there. You're going to want to feel that lightness in your heart space. And you'll only go into the places that you're ready to go to. And she just really, I think she shows us like what we're capable of. And coming back to that intention that you held of unconditional love, like, I want to be a space of unconditional love for myself and for others. It's like, she really shines this light and is like, okay, you can absolutely be that. Here are the places that might be, like distorting your vision of being that, or just here are the places that we need to go into to deepen into that energy and that embodiment of that unconditional love. And it's just absolutely wild to go through the forgiveness process and to just see not what only can happen like within your own body and energy field, the lightness that arises from choosing to release that density off of your heart space, but also what can shift like in physicality. Like, I know we've talked about like on my end, doing a forgiveness mirror work practice while I'm on my dieta, and then like the person texts me the next day with an apology. It's wild. Like, it just speaks into like just the way that our energy ripples out and shifts energy, which is just like the like greatest gift of working with, I mean, any plant consciousness, the way that it can affect then you, but then the world, and how we can touch others. And I feel like Rose is just like the gift that keeps on giving. So from there, I would love to ask you, what do you feel like from working with Rose and integrating these Rose codes, what has shifted in your embodiment, like your daily embodiment on the greatest level from working directly with her?
Ooh, okay. What comes to me is the ability to live life with an open heart
Mm.
and to recognize when I might be out of my heart and when I am in my heart. And when I'm out of my heart, how to make that short journey, but can sometimes feel so long, back to that place of being in my center. And for me, learning how to open my heart and then live life with an open heart, there was a lot of shielding that had to come down. There was also a strengthening of boundaries that needed to be established. Think about Rose and her thorns. So beautiful, a symbol of unconditional love, and she's got these thorns of protection. So that's also required in opening your heart because you want to keep that energy that is so sacred to you safe. And so I would say that was the biggest embodiment, was just recognizing that life is better with an open heart. There might be fears, it might feel vulnerable at times, but I've done this work to feel strong in myself. Like I call it inner fortress energy, like there is protection around me. Rose is always protecting me too, and being able to walk that path. And I mean, I think those of you listening and Lauren yourself, we're maybe out here in the world doing things that people might call alternative or just different paths than, let's say, the traditional 9 to 5 or, traditional sort of societal norms. When you follow a more spiritual path, right, it's important to be led by your heart because that's where your gifts are going to come from. And it's important to feel strong in yourself, strong and safe being exactly who you are when you might receive feedback from other people that don't quite understand what you're doing or where you're at. And that relationship that you have with your heart is so important because when we are following our hearts, when we are listening to our hearts, when we are taking step by step forward along that path, we feel the most fulfilled. We feel the most vibrant. We feel the most radiant. We feel happy and joyful in the ways that we're living our lives because we know that we're truly answering to the call of our soul.
So beautiful. Oh, thank you for sharing all of that, Zoe. It's just I just taking all in what you said. It's so gorgeous. I hope everyone receives that transmission essentially that just was. Yes, Rose, like she just really I said this earlier, she shows you what you're capable of. She shows you the true like the visual I'm getting in this moment is like if you imagined your heart as this like diamond and it's sunlight is shining upon it and you're like once you've worked with Rose, you've integrated her medicine, you really get to see and feel your heart sparkling and shining and you learn how to have that open, shining, sparkly, beautiful heart and to also have those boundaries to keep that heart protected, like you mentioned. Like the rose is this beautiful, open, gorgeous, soft flower, but she's not without her stem. And for anyone who's watched my video on this channel, I believe it's called like a no is love too, or something along those lines. And I talk about Rose. I talk about her physicality and the way that she symbolizes that balance of how to be both because having just the thorns is missing the open heart and having just the open heart without the thorns is missing the boundaries that keep the open heart in place and keep us able to express our open heart in a way that is genuinely healthy and like healthy for us, but healthy for others. So she's just got this beautiful balance to her, which I feel really speaks to this like the softness of her and the fierceness of her that is one. And she really is just a supreme teacher of these boundaries and this open heart simultaneously. Like it's just beautiful going through that journey and the topic of boundaries and thinking about her thorns and like feeling into the fiercer side of her is something I'd love to deepen into in this moment because I know that through my work with Rose, ongoing work with her, but also like deeply in the container of your opening your heart with Rose course, anger, which is very much related to our boundaries or lack of boundaries, uh, was present for me personally, and I know is present for a lot of people who work with Rose. She really offers this space of like it's okay to feel your anger, your sacred rage, your desire to protect yourself more, the need to forgive yourself for not protecting yourself in the past, anyone who harmed you, all of these kinds of things that is like this deeper layer with her that is quite fierce in nature and can be probably the most confronting or the most uncomfortable layer to go into with her, but the most rewarding. And I just think allowing yourself to go there, allowing yourself to enter the caverns of your own anger, your own sacred rage is like such a gift because there we get to alchemize it. And so I would love to just like present that to you of what did touching anger with Rose look like to you? Where did that start? How did it end? How did you alchemize? Just like all of that.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good because it was something that I knew was coming in the journey, but I didn't actually quite understand the depths of it. And Rose, just coming back to that beautiful integration of unconditional love, you must unconditionally love and practice unconditional love with yourself first before you'll be able to offer that and be of service in that way to others. So she's going to present you with opportunities to get comfortable with the deep discomfort that you may have with your emotions. And for me, and I think a lot of us women especially can relate to not feeling like it's okay to express anger or rage, not feeling like it's okay to have that arise in the body. For me, I know it was something that was suppressed for years. I think the first time that I remember feeling anger in a big way, like rage coming up, was when I was 31. Like it took that long for me to start to establish safety in my own body to be able to let those emotions that had been suppressed starting to come up. And Rose, I mean, at the time, I think I was actually 31, actually. 31 or 32. 31. Sorry. When I and started my rose dance. So it was right around that time where I was actually starting to allow these emotions to come up, and it was perfect because she is such a loving guide for that, right? Letting us know that all parts of ourselves are safe and that in order to create space, we've got to excavate what's in the deeper layers, those suppressed energies and emotions, especially anger, because it is a fire and rage as well, sacred rage, all feeling all consuming. And what I found with Rose was that she was able to support me in releasing levels of this energy that felt like they were beyond this lifetime. And I think that, Lauren, I know that you're very aware of this and that you've spoken about this too, but ancestral healing, I started to notice the depth that this Plant Ally was providing me, something that I had only previously experienced with ayahuasca and going to greater depths with her. That's where I initially started to understand ancestral healing. But Rose was bringing this up inside of me and giving me the intuitive reflections and insights. This is what's being cleared. This is suppression of the feminine. This is any time in your life when you felt like it wasn't safe to feel because you had to be not seen and not heard. You had to be this, quiet little girl in the corner and not have an emotional reaction or an outburst. And so there was just a healing of this mass healing of this lifetime, healing of other lifetimes. I just remember being aware that what was flowing through me, that I was purging out like energetically,
Mhm.
was creating space for those of my ancestors who had come before me. And that in that release itself, I was creating space, more ease, more softness for the woman to come after me. And
Mhm.
that felt like an absolute honor. And I know that you can relate to that too, Lauren, doing the deep work that you've done with Rose too, is it truly is an honor to release those suppressed energies such as anger and rage, because what's on the other side of them is clarity. It feels like a fire when it's coming up. I will say, like my human's gonna come in here and speak for a moment, but anger is my most challenging
Mhm.
emotion to accept and deal with. I still sometimes find myself like not not wanting to go there, not understanding like how to release it because there are different ways of releasing it and what might be the best way to alchemize it in the moment. It continues to teach me beautiful lessons, but what I'm saying there is like it that that energetic release, the beauty of Rose and her medicine allowed me to create that spaciousness, allowed me to get more comfortable, allowed me to understand that after you release the uncomfortable, you create space for your desires to flow in. And you create space for your intuition to flow, and you create more space for Rose, this beautiful ally, to flood you with the codes, the understanding of what it means to be unconditionally loving.
Mm. Oh, beautiful. Thank you for sharing about that, Zoe. As I know, like that I said in the beginning, that's a bit of the most uncomfortable space to go in is to talk about anger. And I really just like revere you for talking about that being a more challenging space, anger. And I can relate to that deeply. And I love what you said about women. And I believe a lot of women can relate to that experience of anger being a very challenging emotion to navigate, a very challenging place to allow oneself to go when we are very much taught indirectly and directly not to go there since a young age, and that it is just like not appropriate for us to do so. So then once we are older and we're women and we have all of these complex emotions that we need to navigate, we need to create space for, that can feel very sticky, and it it just can feel so sticky. And so allowing yourself to go there and to excavate, like you were saying, it is a true honor. And I love that you worded it in that way. It really like I got all these visuals of me sitting in my bedroom when I was doing my Rose Dieta, and just like that feeling that I was connecting to my ancestral line, the women in my family who are here and even not here, and just the way that I was so aware that while doing that work, I was also doing work past, present, and future. And to just do that work of excavating old emotions, memories, experiences, traumas even that sit within us, to give them the space to rise up and to feel them and to eventually let them go really does result in so much freedom on the other side. And it especially results in us not having to hand over that to somebody else. Truly, whether or not you want, if you're a woman, and you want to become a mother one day or not, it's really whether you're handing those things down in a generational sense, like to an actual child of yours, or you're handing those things away to your partner, or even your animal friend, or your best friend, or any of these things. Like when we do that work of clearing and getting into the heart, getting into the body, like we can with Rose, and letting these things go, clearing out the anger, that fire, that like all-consuming energy, which I can really relate to. That's how it feels for me in my own body. We gift other people. That's what I was talking about, this like rippling effect, the gift that keeps on giving, that is Rose, because she takes us so deep into that capacity for unconditional love that we can let go of and melt away the things that are not that. It's like in the presence of our own love that is like illuminated to us through Rose's consciousness, we melt away the things that no longer serve, the things that weigh us down, the things that keep us away from that open heart, that ability to shine. And it's just a gift. It's an absolute gift. And I just thank you for sharing that part of your journey, because it's so sacred, and it really is the most uncomfortable space to go. And I want that to be known. Like I really want everyone who's listening to understand that if you're working with Rose medicine, Rose consciousness, whether you're doing a dieta, or even perhaps you just like watch one of my Rose activation videos, or you work with Rose in any way, it's not all like sunshine and rainbows, even though it is at the end of the day. But through the process, it might feel confronting, it might feel heavy, it might feel uncomfortable, but you are honoring yourself so deeply, and even honoring others. As Zoe was saying, like it is such an honor to choose to go into those depths and to do the excavation work. You free yourself, you free other people, and it's just absolutely worth it. And I just want that to be known, that it's not always so light feeling, but that's what's on the other side, is deeper lightness than you've ever felt in your body and heart before. And I can attest to the like visceral change, like within my actual body and my energy body, but like my physical body, that I feel since working with Rose and continuing to like integrate her. And so from there, I would love to ask you, now that you are no longer in the Rose Dieta, like the initial Rose Dieta that you initiated with her, obviously you're still embodying Rose, you're still integrating codes and like just letting her work through you. Like she's a forever ally, essentially. I feel like when we start working with Rose, like she's a forever ally, and she is always this like beautiful mother presence that just guides us. But I'd love to ask, in what ways presently do you support yourself to continue like working with Rose directly or even possibly indirectly?
Yes. So she's an ally, and once you take part in a Rose Dieta, as long as you desire her to be, which I trust all of you would desire her to be because of her medicine, her guidance, her love is just so beautiful and supportive. She will always be there. It's almost like once you learn how, or what it means, I guess I should say, to channel a plant's messages, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna get a little bit deep into this for a moment, but it's like if our minds, or our thoughts, our consciousness is tuning into different frequencies. Once you've created an allyship with Rose, you can connect to her frequency anytime that you desire to. And she will keep coming through. She will keep making herself known. She will present herself in the most divine moments, and she will also still continue to drop the wisdom as you move forward in your life. There have been so many moments in time where maybe I felt really down. I've been in a little bit of a rut. My partner might get me a bouquet of flowers and there's some roses in there. And it's just the right divine moment, the way that it was provided to me that came with the rose medicine, which came with that frequency. And so that's that's sort of the energetic connection to Rose that is still very much there. I definitely use Rose products every single day. Anytime I see a rose, I have to stop and smell it. And I just love roses. I just love seeing her presence. And what I will say is, even if it's not a live flower, there's so many beautiful pieces of art in this world that have roses. There are so many, like you just see her everywhere once you become more awakened to her, or once you're just aware of the power that she has to present herself in the most divine moments. I remember walking along the street and around Venice Beach in California, and it was just a moment of just like deep thinking to myself, where I had been the year before, a lot of reflection, and all of a sudden right in front of me with this huge mural of a rose. And I was like, of course. Of course, she just wanted me to know that she's been here with me every step of the way, through the highs, through the lows, because that is unconditional love in itself, is being able to hold space for the highs, the lows, the happiness, the sadness, the anger, the forgiveness, all of it. She is so multidimensional. So yeah, it's daily and the physical products and connection to her and meditating, even asking to tune into her frequency and setting that intention, and then just being open to receive her because she will always continue to keep presenting herself.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you, Zoe. Yeah, like we were saying earlier, she's a chatty woman, and regardless of you having a dieta container with her, she's going to make herself known as she makes herself known to the world and to us, even when we're not aware of her. And I just love this way of talking about like energetically, she's always there and she's always integrating you into you and informing how you move through this world and how you express your heart, but also incorporating some things like physical products that just keep her more alive in that way, like even just being able to take in her scent, like, and I really love that you mentioned like stopping to smell the rose, like that quote, like stop and smell the roses. Like it's such a cliche, but if you're on my channel, you know I say all the time, cliches are cliche for a reason, and I love cliches. And like seriously, she teaches us like how to deepen into a moment, how to become present. Because to be able to do all of this emotional healing work, this excavation, what does that require? It requires ultimate presence. You can't go there and meet all of these layers of yourself and come out of the on the other side lighter if you're not being absolutely present and honest with what is in the present moment, which might not be entirely comfortable. So like I just love that you mentioned that little thing, and I wanted to go into that a bit because it's something that I do in my daily reality. Like since I've always loved roses as well. I love them. I love to draw them. I draw them a lot in my artwork, and I love to see them, and like I would always see them and like think to myself, like, I should stop more. But it's not until now in my life that I've integrated more of her medicine and her codes. It's like, oh, I can't not stop and take a moment to take in her scent, which is just like on a very physical level, so pleasurable. Like roses smell incredible. It's like why a part of why people love them so much. And to just be present with her physical beauty for a moment and like even just like I want people to know how like because I really do feel that she's so overlooked. And she is the highest vibrating flower, the highest vibrating plant. And just taking a moment of even like sniffing her or like looking upon her will shift your consciousness to some extent. It will have an effect. It will raise your vibration. It will pull you into the present moment. So it is really important to literally stop and smell the roses. And I just want to encourage everyone to do that more. Like you're out and about, take a moment of presence as an act of self-love. It's a moment for connection with Rose. It's just a beautiful opportunity to deepen into that relationship with her in a subtle, seemingly mundane way. So yeah, I just love all of the different ways that you describe that she continues to move along with you. And something that I'd love to get into is the way that she has moved along with you to actually guide you to create your Opening Your Heart with Rose course. I would love to ask you, like, what was the moment that you decided, like, okay, it's time to actually create this container to offer to others? Like, what was your initial intention? Just what did that look like?
Oh, yes, I remember. It w was very much the first few days of my dieta where I was like, the people need to know. The people need to know about her. And as I went through my dieta and witnessed the depths, I was like, okay, this isn't just I'm going to make a YouTube video and talk about Rose. Like if I'm moving through this experience and I'm understanding what is available to people and how deep this plant can take you, how deep Rose's medicine actually goes, mind, body, and soul. Okay. It needs to be a course. It needs to be a container. It needs to be safe. And there needs to be the support that each individual will need to move through this dieta because it is something that's very personal. It's something that you do with yourself in the comfort of your own space, in the comfort of your own heart. And in that, it is you and Rose. And so there is support required for understanding, like we spoke about the discomfort of anger coming through, how to release anger, how to practice embodiment. Maybe you're somebody out there who can recognize, yeah, there's some anger, there's some irritation under the surface. I want to get that out because it doesn't serve me anymore. And how do we do that? Well, we have to actually come back to a space of listening to our bodies very deeply, very intuitively, and then taking certain, let's say, physical actions to release the emotions, these stored emotions from our bodies. And all different stored emotions have a different ways of expressing in safe ways, of course, like for example, when you're sad, you cry, or when you are very grateful, you might feel your heart expand, a big smile across your face when you're happy. There are deeper emotions such as shame, rage, anger, guilt that can come up through the Rose Dieta. So again, I just say that because it is a very potent journey. You will receive so much from it, but it is important to have that support. So anyways, that's what was coming through for me while I was moving through it myself was this isn't just speaking about it. There has to be what is what will allow people to truly open their hearts and feel like it is safe to trust themselves and trust a plant to guide them through this and return to nature, essentially return to nature, return to themselves. So, anyways, that was coming through the whole time. And then I was actually coming back to that timeline of where I was getting ready to go to the Amazon. I just knew I'm like, I want this to be out there as Rose was still very potent in my field. I'm like, she wants to come through in this way. And yeah, I recorded that course right beside the Amazon River where I was staying. And that just felt so synchronous to me because I'm like, I have just returned to one of the most mysterious, sacred places in our earth that carries such a potent energy for transformation. So all of it just came together and was this perfect moment to share what was coming through for me and making this into a course. And what's very interesting about that course is that it's not one that I have like overly spoken about or that I lead with or was leading my business with at that time. It was very much like the people found it. And it is the one that is now my best-selling course. But it was never because I think I made one YouTube video talking about it. I've talked about it in some podcasts, but it's really if you know, you know. And that's what everyone tells me when they sign up for it and they move through the Dieta experience. And I know you had a lot of powerful reflections on that, Lauren, is like, I knew that it was calling to me. And then in like once the Dieta has closed, that container has closed for that individual, they're like, that was so much more than I could have expected. I get
Mm.
time and time again, people tell me that's their favorite course, their favorite program, because it's not just Rose, it's a coming back home to yourself and coming back home to nature and your heart and the truth of who you are. And I think that's what's truly so rewarding for people is that they finally know what it means to just let themselves be who they are. Release those stored emotions, feel safe in doing that, feel safe in their nervous system, and just let go of the past and start to open your heart and create a space of openness in your heart for the beautiful future that is so inevitable for you.
Mm. Ah, I feel that in my heart, and I thank you, Zoe, for choosing to listen to that intuitive nudge, or intuitive knowing that you needed to create this course, create this space, because obviously I'm someone who's directly benefited from you choosing to do so. And again, the rippling effect, like she just, not only does she come in and she supports us in our healing, she allows us to support others in their healing. And I love what you spoke into of like this knowing that like I need to go beyond just like a YouTube video about this. I need to go beyond just a podcast, just a speaking. I need to create a whole container for this, a whole beautiful course that allows people to experience guidance and to experience support. Because like we were talking about, the discomfort that can rise, the depths that we can go to, it helps so much to have a structure there, to have a person that's kind of speaking you through that and guiding it. Like I know that there were days during my dieta that I would be like so excited to like sit down and drink my tea. There were other days when a lot of heaviness was coming through that I felt resistance, and I wasn't particularly excited to sit and drink my tea. Of course, I was choosing to be devotional and I showed up every night regardless, but having those your presence through video format to really speak through what might be coming up, what might be going on, which of course was like completely on par with my own experience. Like it would be like I reached an edge of anger, and then the next module is like you doing an anger embodiment practice for release. And that is just so helpful. It makes you feel so seen, so supported, and it just really offers that safe space to be able to move through all of this because for as much as Rose is light and beautiful and soft, she has a lot of depths to her, like we've spoken into so deeply. And that does require some level of support, or at least it's incredibly helpful to have it. So I thank you for creating the course. And I just want to encourage anyone who feels called to explore the course. Again, I was aware of this course for a while, and I didn't feel ready until a particular time. And that was a time that I was actively choosing to do a lot of forgiveness work in my life. And it just lined up with my intuition, like this course is going to support you. And it absolutely did. So I just want to encourage, like, if you feel the call to check out Zoe's course, of course, I'm going to have everything linked in the description of this video. I will have all of her socials linked. I will have the course specifically linked. I really encourage you to check it out and to see what might be there for you because it's incredibly potent. It's honestly incredibly affordable. Like it is just, it's a perfect invitation to deepening your relationship with Rose and to receive a really profound healing experience and on a greater level, as you mentioned, coming home to yourself. Like I will just say personally that I did my Rose Dieta course shortly before my 24th birthday. I had told you, Zoe, like I started in the beginning of summer. My birthday is at the end of summer. And that birthday for me felt like I remember the words that were coming through to like describe the energy of that birthday. Like as we, I don't know, at least people who like love their birthday and are in tune with their birthday, I always know what the theme of the next year of my life will be, what the birthday holds. And for me, the words were home, like coming home, coming home, coming home. And I felt so open to that energy and so like prepared to go there because of my time with Rose. And I had like my friend's mom made rose cakes for me, and I just had like roses surrounding me on my birthday. Like she was so deeply a part of that birthday, so deeply a part of that coming home process. And since that birthday, like it's months later, I have just been continuing on in that coming home journey and integrating Rose in my own ways. As we talked about, there's such an abundance of ways to integrate rose medicine in an ongoing way. So yeah, I thank you, Zoe, and I just want to encourage anyone who feels the call. And I would love to kind of wrap our conversation in for you, what what do you feel is the really finding the right words for this? The deepest teaching that you feel Rose consciousness, Rose energy, Rose medicine has for the collective consciousness, for the world, and why she's
Mm.
presenting herself so profoundly at this time.
Ooh, that is a big question. I love it. What comes through initially is that the change that we desire in this world starts within, and that starts within our own hearts.
Mm.
So we might want there to be less violence in this world. We might want there to be more abundance for people in need of that in this world. And that starts with you in your own heart. And Rose takes us on a journey to go deep into our hearts, create that space. And when you create space for more unconditional love, and I will say most certainly taking part in a Rose Dieta start expands your consciousness, raises your consciousness. Like you shared with us, Lauren, Rose is the highest frequency. And so if you're consistently ingesting her, your frequency is going to raise too. You're going to eliminate the density, the vibrations inside of you that have been keeping you feeling weighed down, that heaviness. And when you open your heart, when you receive these frequencies, these codes, you start to get ideas about how to be of greater service to the people around you, how to be a better service to your community, how to be a better service to this earth. It just starts to become a part of who you are. And so when it comes to Rose making her way into the lives of humanity right now, I truly believe it is this powerful message of come home to your heart, do the healing here, and you're going to know how to make the changes in this world that you desire to see. It's not something that is logical or intellectual. It is something that is found deep in the sacredness of your own heart. And you're going to know exactly what to do when you reconnect with your heart and the beautiful jewel that it is, as you mentioned, Lauren. I love that visual, just thinking about the heart as this beautiful ruby jewel just sparkling and shining. When you get to know that and you get comfortable with living from your heart, you always know what the next step is.
Absolutely. And I can only agree. And I feel very similarly to what Rose's teachings and her ultimate lesson here is. And it's just the epitome of it starts within. It starts within, and so it ripples without. She is the gift that keeps on giving, that enters the depths of our own heart space and inevitably impacts others throughout the world outside of us in our immediate reality and even in our further out reality. Like her consciousness just finds a way to weave in into the heart space and to free us up to our true nature and to our true shine and sparkle as you've spoken to and I mentioned. And it's just such a gift. And so thank you for sharing your perspective on that. It really does resonate with me and my heart. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for this entire conversation, Zoe. Thank you so much. I'd love to really end with how can people work with you? How can people reach you? Of course, everyone, I'm going to have all of Zoey's information, all of her links in the description of this video, but I would like her to be able to speak into that.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. Well, I can be found on YouTube here at Zoey Arielle and through my podcast, which is called Note to Self. And on my website, you can find Opening Your Heart with Rose. And I'm sure Lauren will leave a link down below. So if you're feeling the call, I would say trust it. There is so many gifts awaiting for you there. And if you desire to work with me more closely, I am always taking on one-to-one coaching clients. So you can reach out to me and we can create a personalized plan for you. And normally, the way that I work through this is just hearing about what your intentions are, the length of the coaching journey, getting details like that from you, so we can create something that truly supports the transformations that you're desiring to have in your life. So, yeah, I look forward to hearing from those of you who feel the call to reach out. You can also send me a DM on Instagram at Zoe Arielle. Always love hearing from you.
Amazing. And I can only highly recommend working with Zoey as I have for years. And she's just one of the greatest and brightest lights in my life and in so many people's lives. So I thank you so much, Zoey, for your time. Again, everyone, all of her information that she just mentioned will be plugged down below. So you can check out any links that you feel called to and work with Zoey in any capacity that you feel called to. Again, her Opening Your Heart with Rose course is available and is really an invitation into a deeper experience of healing and heart opening, and I highly recommend it. And I just trust that everyone will leave this conversation, leave this video with the medicine that their heart needs, whether you decide to enter into that course or work with Rose in any way that feels resonant for you. It's just about trusting the way that you are intuitively led to work with Rose consciousness, to incorporate it into your own life and to really integrate all of the wisdom and all of the codes that she has to offer. So I thank you all so much for listening to this conversation, for being here on my channel, and I will see you soon.